The Thousand-Year Blood War begins with a familiar setting. Deep in the Soul Society, we meet up again with the 12th Squad, who is going haywire due to a series of unknown assailants who are destroying hollow souls and threatening to erode the very balance of the world. But to call those assailants unknown is a bit misleading. During Substitute Shinigami, the first arc of Bleach, we were introduced to 4 races. Humans, some of which are capable to manifesting strange powers in the right circumstances, like Korihime and Shad. Later, they will be classified as Foebringers. Soul Reapers, who draw their power from their soul and put it into swords, like Rukia and Renji. Hollows, whose unique powers come from their lost hearts, like Acid Wire. And of course, the last one, composed of people such as Uryu Ishida. In Soul Society, he fought the Soul Reapers for their devotion to loss at all costs. In Arrancar, he fought the instinct to destroy of the Hollows, both from himself and from his opponents. In the Lost Agent arc, also known as the Fullbringer arc, he was faced with humans, some who wanted to give away power, while others wanted to take away power. And he decided that he needed a power, and he then decided to regain power in order to protect those who had done something for him, no matter what. And now, as Mayuri observes the fact the various souls of the Hollows are being destroyed, he understands perfectly how it is happening. And yet he does not dare say it. The ones who get their powers from the very places they inhabit, who destroy souls instead of cleanse them, those who carry the 5-pointed cross, yes, the ones who would collapse the universe as we know it for their belief. It's been a long time coming, and it's time to open up some old wounds. Because this time, it's not a Quincy that is back, like Uryu Ishida in Soul Society, but the Quincy are back. But before we are transported to the heights of this arc, we must first back up a foundation. And so we are swiftly reset with our everyman for the day, the one that will serve as our formal reintroduction to the setting, Ryonosuke Yuki, as he is deployed into the iconic Karakura town for his first mission. But something is amiss. Even for the spiritually rich area of Karakura town, there are too many hollows around. Foul play is afoot. Something akin to a Quincy's bait was dragging more hollows into the town, in order to force something out, or perhaps to force someone out. Ever the protector, Ichigo Kurosaki and his friends step in, both to reestablish themselves for the audience and, honestly, for some good amount of fan service. As a treat, it can't hurt. But in Soul Society, following their nature of doing shady things, they are now covering up a disappearance case for reasons that aren't clear, and at the same time, the Quincy make contact with Ichigo the next day, confirming they used bait to lure him out. As we cut between the B-plot featuring Ikaku and Yumi Chika and the B-plot with Ichigo, it builds tension and anticipation as we don't know what's the purpose of any of these actions by the Quincy. And there is an aspect of implication that since we know the Quincy have been destroying hollows, we are led to believe they were doing the same to the Rokungai citizens. As Soul Society covering up this incident is intercut with the Quincy making their move on Ichigo. To compound this further, as we reach the climax of the episode, the Quincy make their move on Soul Society, declaring war on Yamamoto and killing his vice captain before vanishing via a strange shadow. And we also learn that this Quincy, who is wearing an Arrancar mask, is here to end Ichigo's Bankai. However, whatever the specifics are, it fails and then he flees via the same strange shadow. As we transition to the presentation of a new character for the cliffhanger and ending of the episode. The one who declared war, the one who attacked their men for the simple process of bickering, desires a report for the cause of peace. The main theme for this episode is a deep sense of foreboding. We are introduced to the main cast in a big bombastic fight, after being informed that a plot point a long time coming will finally pay off, and said payoff will probably harm their union for a time, if not permanently break it. The main focus, of course, being Uryu, who is a Quincy. How will he react to this? How will this affect his relationship with the others? And the society being unprepared for the threat that faces them down in the future is a point hammered home again and again. From the 12th Division losing track of the lost souls, to the Quincy sucker punching the Gotei 13 immediately after Yamamoto brags about not needing security. This is of course contrast with their failure against Ichigo, once again marking the main character as a sticking issue that will resolve this conflict via his own unique perspective. Though we are unable to identify what they were here to do, and more importantly, why it failed. There is a lot of establishment of ideas that will for sure pay off later, but don't mean much right now, like for example, the shadows that Quincy used to move. Their use here is first and foremost to create intrigue. They aren't meant to be understood in full just yet. Aside from the very obvious connection, that the Quincy's come out of hiding, they come out from the shadows to attack, by literally coming out of shadows. Extremely on the nose. And that's it for this week's episode, guys. My favorite change or addition has to be the inclusion of the poems. I completely gave up on actually having them, and when they showed up at the ending, I got so hyped. I am so hyped to see what they're going to do for the episodes that they don't have poems. Are they just not going to do anything? I have to find out. Of course, our honorable mention has to go to the rooftop fight. It's got all the good animation and all the fan service they extended the fight, and that's all great. But I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with these poems. Just having them at all is great. Are we actually going to get a poem to some characters that didn't get volume covers in the original series? I can't wait. I'm so excited for that. So yeah, next week, episode 2, Foundation Stones. Can't wait. This was just great.